सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। वासुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते। So Bhagavān Shankarāchāryaji in Tattva Bodha, what is Bhagavān promising us? The enquiry into the truth is what is Tattva Bodha, this text is doing. So Bhagavan says, I am going to explain what Tattva Viveka Prakaram, the methodology of enquiry into the truth. Why should we inquire into the truth? Because it is moksha sadhana bhutam. It is a means for liberation. But who is fit for this enquiry? So it is said, sādhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikarinam. The one who is endowed with the fourfold qualification, such a person is fit to inquire into this truth, the absolute truth. So naturally the question comes, what are these fourfold qualifications? So what are they? Viveka, Vairagya, Shamādi shatka sampatti and Mumukshutva. So what is Viveka? Nityavastu ekam brahma tad vyatiriktam sarvam anityam. This is called Viveka. Viveka means to discriminate. This ability he must have. What is the ability? The ability to differentiate between what is nitya, permanent, and what is anitya, impermanent. So what is nitya vastu? Nitya vastu ekam brahma. The Supreme Lord alone is permanent. Tad vyatiriktam sarvam. The rest, everything is anityam, impermanent. Right. Then what is viragaha? Iha swarga bhogeshu ichharahityam. Desirelessness in all kinds of pleasures available in this world or in the other world. In short, desirelessness towards everything anityam, impermanent. Then yesterday we saw mumukshutvam also. moksho me bhuyat iti ichha. What is mumukshutvam? May I be liberated, this intense desire. So yesterday we had seen what this desire for moksha is. What is this desire for moksha? Desire to get rid of all kinds of psychological disorders, all kinds of negative states of mind, and positively experiencing peace, happiness, bliss, joy, security. This intense desire is called moksha. So actually this desire is nothing but desire for truth or desire for God. So Viveka is the ability to discriminate between permanent and the impermanent. Vairagya is the ability or the distaste, disinterest in everything impermanent. And mumukshutvam is the intense desire for the permanent. So therefore the entire spiritual practice is nothing but detaching from the impermanent, attaching to the permanent. Once you are able to hold on to truth, then all the sorrows also vanish, because the cause of all our sorrow is our holding on to the impermanent, the perishable. Once you know the truth, there cannot be any reason for suffering. Now, if I have to detach from the impermanent and attach to the permanent, this I have to do with the mind. So that mind has to have certain qualifications, certain discipline. What are those? So they are put under shamādi, shatka, sampatti. Sixfold virtues, wealth, starting from shama, etc. What are they? Shama. What is shama? Mano nigraha. The ability to quieten the mind. The ability to make the mind peaceful. The ability to prevent the mind from getting disturbed. So this is very important, because unless the mind is quiet, the mind will not be efficient. Such a mind will not be an efficient tool in enquiry into the truth, in holding on to the highest. So a peaceful mind is an unavoidable prerequisite. So this ability to quieten the mind is called shama. Mano nigraha. Then what? Damaha. Chakshuradi bahya indriya nigraha. The ability to control, tame, restrain all the external sense organs. Bahya indriya. So if here it is bahya indriya, so does it mean there is something called antar-indriya? What is this antar-indriya? It is nothing but mind. So when it is said bahya indriya, you have to understand antar-indriya is nothing but mind. Chakshuradi, eyes, etc. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, they are all external sense organs. Anyway, that topic will be taken up later. What are the sense organs? Organs of knowledge, organs of action. All those things will be listed down later. The ability to restrain the external sense organs, because we know that the external organs can become a source to disturb the mind. The ability to restrain them is called dhamma. What is the third one? Uparamaha or uparatihi. What is it? Swadharmanushthānameva. Ability to withdraw the mind from unnecessary preoccupations and then fixing it upon the responsibilities, the duties, and making that mind perform the duties and responsibilities. So yesterday we had seen that also in detail. Now the next one is titiksha. Titiksha ka shītoshna sukha dukkha ādi sahishnutvam. Yes, what is this titiksha? Sahishnutvam. It is the ability to endure, tolerate. What? Shīta ushna. Cold, heat. Sukha, dukkha. Joy, sorrow. Ādi. Ādi means what? There is one more. Shita Ushna is at the body level. Heat and cold is at the body level. Sukha Dukkha is at the mind level. Honor, dishonor, Mana, Apamana is at the intellectual level. The ability to endure them is called titiksha. Pujya Gurudev used to say, enduring little pinpricks of life. This is called titiksha. So wherever we are, there will be some or the other kinds of trouble, problems. If you are able to solve it, solve it. If you can find a solution for it, very good. But there are situations where you cannot find any solution. Then what are you supposed to do? Endure it without complaining, without grumbling. This is the meaning. This ability one must cultivate. Ability to endure without complaining. Situations which cannot be changed. Sahanam sarvadukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha nigadyate. In Vivekachūdamani also, Bhagavān Shankarāchāryaji defines titiksha. Sahanam sarvadukkhanam, ability to endure all sorrows. In what way? Apratikara purvakam. Without any feeling of revenge, without any feeling of resentment. Chinta vilaparahitam, free from grumbling, free from complaining. This ability is called titiksha. How to develop titiksha? There are various ways. Number one, find out what are we losing when we don't have titiksha. What happens when we don't have titiksha? We keep on complaining and grumbling. When we keep on complaining and grumbling, who is the loser? We are the loser. All our mental energies are wasted in this state of disturbance. Isn't it? A spiritual seeker must have the ability to block all these leakages because he needs tremendous amount of energy to reach the goal. The entire spiritual practice is conserve the energy and apply the energy in the right field so that you will reach the goal. And here the goal is very supreme, very high, so therefore tremendous amount of energy is required. So if all your energies are going like this, leaking through various pores, through various holes, then such a person will not be able to reach the ultimate. So first of all, let us understand situations which cannot be changed. Let me not complain about it, grumble about it. So this is one way. So let the goal inspire me to such an extent that let me not have time for all these kind of energy wastages. Gain inspiration from the goal. This is number one. Number two, whatever we are complaining of, remember there are many other people who are suffering much more than we do. Look at them and suddenly your mind will be at peace. There is a very famous saying. I was complaining that I did not have shoes till I saw a person who did not have legs. I was complaining that I did not have shoes till I saw a person who did not have legs. So when I see people who are suffering much more than what I suffer, then what happens is the mind becomes quiet. This is another way of enduring. The third way of endurance is to keep repeating yourself, even this will pass away. This is the advice given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Agamapaino anityaha tan titikshasva bharata. Arjuna, everything comes. Agamaha apainaha. It comes and goes. Everything is anityaha, impermanent. Therefore, all such pinpricks of life you must learn to endure. Agamapaino nityaha tan titikshasva bharata. What is another way of enduring it? Another way is understand whatever comes to you, it is as a result of your own karma phala. There may be an external source, some person who is giving trouble to you. But remember, he is only a nimitta. He is only an instrument. You are suffering because of your own past bad action. So who has to be blamed? I myself. Right? My own past bad actions are coming to me in the form of results of those bad actions. So therefore the best thing is just remain quiet and see to it that you don't perform any more bad actions. This is another way of quietening the mind. Let me not blame anyone. Any person, any situation, let me not blame anyone. Let me take up the entire responsibility upon myself. This is another way of quietening the mind. And the final one is, let us keep in mind that whatever is happening to me, it is happening for my good. So what should be my prayer whenever I suffer? Oh God, please give me the strength to bear it. I know whatever you are doing is for my good. In my present state of immaturity, I don't know why you are doing this. But one thing is for sure, you are doing it for my good. If this faith is there, then you will find the mind gaining strength. Even when tragedies are there, the mind is at peace. Because that mind has a faith that everything will turn out to be good. Even whatever is happening to me, it is a blessing in disguise from God. But for this, you must have tremendous faith and trust in God. Normally what happens is when tragedies come, our faith in God becomes shaky. We don't trust in God. Then what happens? The mind is disturbed. So this way we can develop titiksha. We must develop titiksha. Right. So this is titiksha. What is the next one? Shraddhā. Shraddhā कीदृशी गुरु वेदांत वाक्यादिषु विश्वासः श्रद्धा. So what is shraddha? Vishwasah shraddha. Shraddha means faith. So what is faith? Belief. Belief in whom? Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu. Total faith in Guru, the spiritual master, spiritual preceptor. Vedanta Vakyadishu. Vedanta Vakya means statements in Vedanta, statements in the scriptures. Total faith in Guru, in scriptures, Adi, etc. Etc. means what? In God, in yourself, etc. So you must have faith in your teacher. You must have faith in the scriptures. You must have faith in the existence of God. You must have faith that there is something called truth. Whatever scriptures are telling is right. And also, you must have faith in yourself that I can reach it. This belief is called faith. Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu Vishwasah Shraddha. Now this Shraddha is very, very important in spirituality. Bhagavad Gita says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Who gets this greatest knowledge? The one who has Shraddha. Bhagavad Gita also says, Samshayatma vinashyati. The one who doubts, he will never attain this great truth. Now, why is so much emphasis given to this word called faith? This faith is emphasized in spirituality because every seeker has to take the first step only based on faith, especially in spirituality. In other fields of knowledge, faith is not emphasized because you can prove it and then you may take the path. For example, do you need to have faith in science and technology? You don't need to have faith because there are lots of gadgets and devices which proves that this knowledge is right. The very fact that all these gadgets are functioning very well, they are able to do the impossible. The very fact that it is working proves that the science is perfect. The science can take you to that. Right? It can be proved. Any objective science can be proved. Any materialistic science can be proved. Once it is proved, then you don't need faith. You know it. You have to just have faith in yourself that I can learn it, I can master it. That's all what is needed. You don't need to have faith in the knowledge. You don't need to have faith in the textbooks. You don't need to have faith in the teachers. You need to have faith only in yourself that you can master this knowledge. But whereas in spirituality, it is not like that. Can you prove it? In spirituality, God cannot be proved. Truth cannot be proved. It is something which you have to subjectively realize. So Puji Gurudev used to say, if you want to prove God, improve yourself. That is the only way. The teacher can at the most say, there is a truth, this is the path. But if the student says, prove it that there exists God, then I will walk the path. Then sorry, you will never walk the path in your life. God cannot be proved. At the same time, He cannot be disproved also. God is beyond the purview of the intellect. Proof is the food for the intellect. Intellect asks questions. To silence those questions, you need proof. But this truth is something which cannot be grasped even by the intellect. So therefore, God is beyond proof and disproof. When such is the case, what is the only thing which can inspire the student? It is not the proof, it is the faith. Faith in what? Before the scriptures, it is the faith in the teacher. Now the question is, how can I develop faith in the teacher? So in the olden days, in order to develop this faith, the children were sent to Gurukulas. So for so many years, the small children, maybe at the age of 10, they were sent to Gurukulas. They were supposed to live with the teacher. And for so many years, now the children are watching the teacher, the Guru. Now when they see that all these noble qualities are full-fledged in this teacher, goodness, honesty, straightforwardness, love, simple way of living, contentment, cheerfulness, happiness. When these children saw that this Guru is having all these virtues in full measure, so naturally what happens? Such children revere and respect those teachers. When you have respect, reverence, love, etc. for a person, whatever he or she says, you will believe it. You will not go for proof. If this person has said it, definitely it must be true. Because this person's life itself shows that he has been walking the path of truth. Such a person, if he has made this statement, it cannot be wrong. Now this feeling within yourself is called shraddhā. So how is this shraddhā developed? First, you develop shraddhā in the teacher, in the Guru. How do you develop that faith in the Guru? You have been observing that person for a long time, and that creates shraddhā in you. So now what will Guru say? He will only say Vedanta Vakya, the statements of the scriptures. So naturally, that develops faith in the scriptures also. Yes, if Guru is saying that the scriptures are right, scriptures must be right. If Guru is saying that God alone is true, God must be true. Now this faith is very important in spirituality because many of the statements made in the advanced stages of spirituality will contradict our day-to-day experience. For example, the Guru will say, the worldly pleasures are nothing but pain. Now what is my present experience? The only source of happiness is worldly pleasure. But the scriptures are saying worldly pleasure is pain. Now this is contradicting my present experience. But what will a person with faith say? No, if Guru has said it, it must be right. Maybe my analysis of my experience is wrong. This is the way a person with faith will analyze the situation. Guru says, you are infinite and immortal. What is my experience? I am finite and mortal. I had a date of birth. I will have a date of death. This is my experience. For some time, 60, 70 years, I am here playing around. A time will come when I will die. This is my idea about myself. What does Guru say? Fool, you are infinite. You are immortal. There is no death for you. Now when Guru says it, what will I say? Yes, if Guru has said it, it must be true. See, these are all contradicting my experience. Now again Guru says, the world which you are seeing, it is an illusion. Now what is my experience? It is very much there. I can see it, I can feel it. But Guru says, the world is an illusion. Again Guru says, God alone is real. But what is my present experience? God is unreal because I can't see Him. Where is God? Isn't it? Now see this. Every statement is contradicted by the Guru. Every statement. Now, if the student has to further proceed in the path of spirituality, what is the only power which will drive him in the path of spirituality? It is the power of faith. If my teacher has said it, it must be true, full stop. So then what happens? Over a period of time, as he walks the path of spirituality, whatever he was believing in, that becomes his knowledge. That becomes his direct experience. As long as you don't know a thing, belief is necessary. But once you know it, do you need to have belief? Do you have a nose or not? Nose. Is it your belief or is it your knowledge? It is your knowledge. You don't have to have faith in it. That which you know, faith is not necessary. So in the beginning, you start with shraddha. And slowly, when you start getting the glimpses of the truth, then that shraddha becomes your jnana, knowledge. But in the beginning, it is belief. It is faith. Faith is absolutely essential because without faith, you will not put your first step in towards the path of truth. Therefore, it is absolutely essential. There's a very famous statement by Saint Augustine. Faith is the belief in what you do not see, and the reward is you start seeing what you believed in. Faith is the belief in what you do not see. But then later on you start seeing what you believed in. Right. So this shraddha is very, very essential. Now this shraddha is something which the mind possesses. From where do we get the shraddha? It comes from the purity of mind. The more and more your mind is pure, you will find intuitively that mind develops this ability to have faith. Have you seen small children? Their faith is tremendous. If the child climbs a tree and you ask the child, jump, I will catch, the child will jump. But suppose a big person climbs and you ask, jump, I will catch, he will not jump. He will doubt whether you will catch or leave. Whereas if a small child is there, the child will jump. Why? Total faith. Yes, he will catch. So more and more your mind becomes pure, chitta shuddhi. You will find this one virtue increasing in yourself. Shraddha. Yes. Next word. Next is samadhanam kim chittaikagrata. Yes, this is the sixth one, called as samadhanam. What is samadhanam? Chitta ekagrata. Eka agrata, single pointedness. So single pointedness of chitta, of mind, is samadhanam. The ability to concentrate. This ability also one must cultivate. The ability to fix the mind at a particular point, at a particular object of contemplation, without allowing the mind to get distracted. This is called chittekagrata. The term used is samadhanam. Samyak adhanam is samadhanam. Adhanam means to place. Samyak, very well. Very well placed is samadhanam. When the mind is very well placed upon the object of concentration, then we say that person has developed samadhanam. Again, this quality is very essential. We all know the sunlight. Normal sunlight, it cannot burn a piece of paper. But suppose the very same sunlight is made to pass through a lens. What happens? Those rays get converged, and that converged sun rays have got power, and that power is able to burn the piece of paper or the matchstick, isn't it? So all the distracted power, when it is focused upon one point, then that power is able to achieve anything. In the same way, today our minds are totally distracted. It goes here and there, wanders everywhere. So this ability to bring back all these distracted rays of mind and focus it in a particular line of thought, in a particular channel, unto a particular object, is called samadhanam. What happens when you are able to concentrate? If you have such a mind which can concentrate, that mind can pierce any veil and bring out into light the truth of that thing. Any field. Need not be spirituality, it can be any field. Whatever achievements the scientists have done throughout this world at any time, it is all because of this power called power of concentration. You will find in the biographies of great scientists that before getting into the lab, before starting their experiments, what is the one thing they do? They sit for meditation. They quieten the mind. And then they apply that peaceful mind unto the field of research. And then they come out with great inventions, something which was not available till then. Great hidden truths of nature is revealed only to the mind which can concentrate. This is called as samadhanam. Now this ability to concentrate is very much essential in spirituality because our goal is the truth. Now this mind has to unveil the truth, discover the truth, and for that the mind must concentrate upon the truth. So this is the sixth virtue. So what are the six virtues? Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddhā, Samadhanam. 6 virtues of the mind, disciplines of the mind. So what are now the fourfold qualifications which the spiritual aspirant must gain? Viveka, discrimination. Vairagya, dispassion. Shamādi shatka sampatti, discipline. And mumukshutvam, desire. 4 Ds. Discrimination, dispassion, discipline and desire. 4 Ds. Once you are equipped with these qualifications, you are a fit person for the enquiry of the ultimate truth. Right. Etat sadhana chatushtayam tataha tattva vivekasya adhikarinah bhavanti. So these are the fourfold qualification. Etat, these. Sadhana chatushtayam, they are the fourfold qualification. Tataha, thereafter. Thereafter what? Tattva vivekasya adhikarinah bhavanti. He becomes fit student for tattva viveka, enquiry into tattva, into the truth. Now, in this Tattva Bodha, how to develop these fourfold qualification has not been mentioned. But how to develop is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Which chapter? 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter is nothing but preparation for meditation, preparation for knowledge. So all these qualifications are developed through karma yoga, which is the essence of the 3rd chapter. So what is the essence of karma yoga? There are 3 things to be taken care. 3 factors. The 3 factors are sat karmaha, sat gunaha, sat bhavana. The essence of karma yoga is this. Sat karmaha. Sat karmaha means performing noble actions. What are noble actions? Actions that benefit others as well as me is called noble action or sattvic action. Actions which benefit only me but it doesn't harm others, they are called as rajasic action, a little inferior category. Then the 3rd one, actions which only benefit me, at the same time it harms others. They are called as tamasic actions. So what kind of actions only you must perform? Only sattvic actions. That is called as sat karmaha. The second one, sad gunaha. All the virtues mentioned in the scriptures should be cultivated. Virtues like love, compassion, truthfulness, honesty, straightforwardness, forgiveness, all these virtues must be cultivated. A heart filled with virtues, sadgunaha. The third one, sadbhavana, right attitude. Attitude towards the world, towards our parents, towards our teachers, towards the environment, towards animals, plants, towards fellow citizens, the right attitude. What is the right attitude? The entire world is a manifestation of God. So whenever I perform action, with what attitude I should perform action? The attitude should be Ishvara Arpana Buddhihi. Performing all actions as a worship of the Lord. And whenever the results come, what should be the attitude? Ishvara Prasada Buddhihi. This is called the right attitude. Right actions, noble virtues, right attitude. When you develop these things, you become a fit student for spirituality, which is called as sādhana chatushtaya sampatti. This is the virtue. So this is how it has to be developed. It is not mentioned here because that is not the topic. Now, after gaining this sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, now comes the real subject. What is the real subject? Enquiry into truth. Now let us enter into that. So, adhikari prakarana is over. The topic related to who is the qualified student, that is over. Now we are entering into Tattva Viveka prakarana. The topic which deals with Tattva Viveka, enquiry into truth. Tattva Vivekaha kaha Ātmā satyam tadanyat sarvam mithya iti. Now the question comes. Tattva Vivekaha kaha. What is this Tattva Viveka? Enquiry into the truth. What is this enquiry into the truth? So then Bhagavān Shankarāchāryaji makes the statement of what is truth. What is the statement? Ātmā satyam. There is one thing called truth, and that is Ātmā. And tadanyat sarvam, the rest everything, it is mithya. So now one question has been asked, what is Tattva Viveka? Bhagavān Shankarāchāryaji introduces another 3 new terms. What are the 3 terms? Ātmā, Satyam, Mithya. They are all technical terms. Now let us see what is this Satyam and what is this Mithya. Now this desk, let us take the example. What should be the weight of this desk? Maybe some few grams, say 1 kilo, whatever. Right? What is the height of this desk? You may have some idea. What is the length, breadth? How high is this desk from here? You can measure it. Now let us inquire into the nature of desk. When you inquire into the nature of desk, you find that there is no desk. Why? What you find is only wood. What is this? Wood. There is nothing called desk. What is desk? It is nothing but the name and form, isn't it? Name given to a form is called a desk. But ultimately what is it? It is wood. So mithya means non-substantial entity which is having a name and form but which has no independent existence of its own. To take this example of desk, it is a non-substantial entity. What is that substance called desk? There is no substance. Whatever it is only wood. Correct? Non-substantial entity having a name and form which has no independent existence. Wood borrows its, desk borrows its existence from wood. Other than the existence of wood, desk has no existence. So what is desk? It is a non-existent entity, a non-substantial entity. What is desk? It is only a name given to a form. Bas. Got it? Such a thing is called mithya. Mithya. Illusion, you can say. non-real. So what is the only truth? As far as this example is concerned, wood is the only truth. Wood appears as desk. That's all. Many other examples can be given. Gold and the ornaments. Golden ornaments. Same example. Gold alone is the truth. The name and form has no existence. Wave, foam, froth, they're all mithya. What is the satyam? Water. So now, if this is the definition, now see this. What is the statement saying? Ātmā satyam. Ātmā alone is truth. Tadanyat sarvam mithya. So if you are seeing anything other than Ātmā, understand that other thing is nothing but Ātmā alone. There is nothing other than Ātmā. Now what is this Ātmā? It is not some dead, soul of some dead person or something. Ātmā means I. Capital I, not E-Y-E. Now do you experience that I-ness in you? Everyone's experience is this: I exist, isn't it? This I-ness in you is Ātmā. Not only human being, even animals also feel, I exist. Every one of us feels the existence of Ātmā as I. Nobody doubts it. Even an atheist cannot doubt this presence of I. Isn't it? I exist. I know I exist. This I-ness in me, I am experiencing as amness. I am. I'm experiencing it. There is no doubt regarding the existence of I. But what is this I? We have difference of opinion. With respect to the definition of I, there are differences. But whether it exists or not, there is no difference of opinion. Now here in the scripture, Bhagavān Shankarāchāryaji makes it very clear what this I is. Now we are going to analyze into the nature of I. We are going to inquire into the truth of I. What is this I? Majority of us, what do we feel about this I? This I is nothing but this body. Why? When the body was born, I was born. When the body will die, I will die. So therefore, I equal to body. This is our general misconception. Wrong understanding about ourselves. Now Bhagavān Shankarāchārya is going to slowly explain and expound what this I is. So what is the definition of Tattva Viveka? Ātmā satyam tadanyat sarvam mithya. So next question should come, what is then Ātmā? Because Ātmā alone is satyam. So now see the definition. Ātmā kaha sthūla sūkshma kārana sharirat vyatiriktaha panchakoshāti tassan avasthatraya sakshi satchidananda swarupassan yastisthati sa Ātmā. A big definition. Now remember, when it is said Ātmā, don't sing some Ātmā somewhere. This definition is definition about me, who I am. This is a description. So this is the definition about each and every one of us. Who are we from the absolute standpoint? Now, normally when this question is asked, who are you? Our answer is always with respect to the body, or with respect to the mind, or with respect to the intellect. With respect to the upadhis. Who are you? I am an Indian. This is with respect to the nationality. I am an engineer. It is with respect to your intellect. I am very emotional. It is with respect to your mind. I am very fat. It is with respect to your body. But actually you are not defining yourself. You are only explaining yourself with respect to your instruments. But who are you? You are not answering. So now, here is a definition of this Ātmā. In spirituality, definitions are of three types. When you want to define a thing, there are three ways of defining a thing. One is called Swarupa Lakshanam. Lakshanam means definition. Swarupa Lakshana means defining the thing according to the properties of that thing. When you define the property of a thing, you are defining that thing. For example, what is sugar? Sugar is that which has sweetness. Now you are defining the property. When you define a thing by defining the properties of that thing, that is called as Swarupa Lakshanam. This is one way of definition. Second way of definition. You are defining a thing by defining another thing which is associated with this thing. It is called as Tatastha Lakshanam. Something else which is associated with it, through that you define it. To give an example, suppose I want to show you one house. I want to show you my friend's house. So what do I see? What do I say? Look, there, that house. Can you see that house? There are so many houses. Which house? That house upon which a crow is sitting. So then there is one house where on the rooftop there is a crow. Now I am not defining the house. What am I doing? I am indicating something which is associated to that house. One crow is there. That crow, that house is my friend's house. I have not defined the house. What am I doing? I am relating that house to something which is associated with it. This is called as Tatastha Lakshanam. Tata means bank. That which is near. Stha means staying. That which stays near is called Tatastha. So defining a thing by explaining that which stays near to it is called Tatastha Lakshanam. And the third one is called Atat Vyavritti Lakshanam. I define a thing by negating those things which it is not. That is also a way of defining. For example, when I say, I am not this body, I am something different. So what am I doing? I am negating something in order to tell that thing. Definition through negation is called Atat. Atat means not that. Atat. This is also called as Neti method. Na iti, not this, not this, not this. You keep on negating. Ultimately, what remains? That is the truth. Atat Vyavritti Lakshanam. Atat means not that. Vyavritti means negating. So there are three ways of defining a thing. Now all the three ways Bhagavān Shankarāchāryaji uses here. Now that is the first one. Ātmā kaha. What is Ātmā? So what is the answer given? See the first one. Sthūla sūkshma karana sharirat vyatiriktaha. Vyatiriktaha means different from. Ātmā is not. What it is not? Sūkshma, sthūla, karana, sharira. It is not sthūla sharira. It is not sūkshma sharira. It is not karana sharira. So what lakshanam it is? Atat Vyavritti. Isn't it? It is negating. Nothing has been said about Ātmā. What has been said is, this is not Ātmā. Right? Now all these terms will again come. So don't worry, what is this Sthūla Shariram, etc. All those things Bhagavan himself is going to define. So Sthūla Sūkshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktaha. Different from Sthūla Sūkshma Karana Shariram. Then Panchakosha Atitaha. That which is beyond Panchakoshas. So again it is Atat Vyavritti Lakshanam. Not this. Not the Panchakoshas also. Then what? Avasthatraya Sakshi. The one who is a Sakshi, witness to Avasthatrayam. The three states. Now here it is Tatastha. Sakshi. It remains as a Sakshi. Sakshi to whom? Sakshi means witness. It just keeps observing, watching. It is just aware. Aware of what? Avasthatrayam. Three states. Waking, dream, deep sleep. That also will come. Avasthatraya Sakshi. So this is Tatastha Lakshanam. And now comes Swarupa Lakshanam. What is Ātmā then? Sat, Chit, Ananda, Swarupaha. This is Swarupa Lakshanam. What is it? That is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Again the definition will come later. This way, yaha tishtati sa Ātmā. This way, what remains, that is Ātmā. So, how many terms have come? Sthūla sharira, Sukshma sharira, Karana sharira, 3. Plus Panchakosha, 8. Plus Avasthatraya, 3. 11. Plus Satchidananda, 14. 14 terms have come. You have asked only one question, what is Ātmā? He has given 14 terms. Now all these 14 terms are going to be explained step by step. So what is the first term? Sthūla sharira. So naturally the question should be, what is Sthūla sharira? Sthūla shariram kim panchīkrita pancamahabhūtaihi kritam satkarmajanyam sukha-dukkhādi bhogayatanam shariram asti jayate vardhate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyati iti षड्विकारवत् etat sthūla shariram. Yes. What is this sthūla sharira? Bhagavan, you have mentioned this sthūla sharira. What is it? So sthūla sharira means, in simple way, this body which you are having. Now see the definition, see the perfection of definition. You can't match it. What is sthūla shariram? Now this body is going to be described, right? First of all, the term used is sthūla. Sthūla means gross. What is gross? Indriya gocharam is called sthūla. That which can be known through the senses is called as sthūla. So the condition of the body. Number one, condition. What is the condition of this body? It is sthūla. Sthūla means that which can be perceived by each and every sense organ. It is able to be perceived by the sense organ because it has these properties: shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. There is sound in it, shabda. Sparsha, you can touch it. Rupa, it has a form. Rasa, it has a taste. Gandha, it has smell. All these 5 are there. So therefore, what is the condition of this body? It is indriya gocharam. It is sthūla, gross. Point number 1. Point number 2. Panchīkrita pancamahabhūtaihi kritam. Kritam, it has been made. It is made of. Kritam means it is made of. What is it made of? Pancamahabhūtaihi kritam. It is made of pancamahabhūta. What are the pancamahabhūtas? Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, Prithvi. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Now what kind of Panchamahabhuta? Now a term is used, Panchīkrita Panchamahabhuta. Panchīkrita, that which has undergone Panchīkaranam is Panchīkrita. What is Panchīkaranam? It will come later. Now you just understand this. Gross 5 elements. Grossified 5 elements is called Panchīkrita Pancamahabhutas. That which is gross, which you can see. So all the space, air, water, fire, etc., which you see, this is Panchīkrita Pancamahabhuta. There is a subtle form which we cannot see. We are not talking of that. We are talking of the Panchamahabhutas which can be seen around. So what is this body? This body is made up of 5 elements. What is the proof? Look at your own body. Is there space or not? Lot of space is there here and stomach also. Yeah, lot of space. Space is there, and then air is there or not? Air is there. Fire is there or not? Fire is there. What is the proof? Temperature. The body has temperature. What does it mean? Fire element is there. Water is there or not? Yes. Earth is there or not? Yes. So therefore, this body is made up of Pancha Mahabhuta. So this is called as the material cause. Technical term is Upadana Karanam. What is it made of? Upadana Karanam. Material cause. First one is the condition, which is sthula. Second one is material cause. Now the third one, sat karma janyam. Who has made it? What is the intelligent cause behind making this? That intelligent cause is also called as nimitta karana. Who made this body? So what is the answer? It is karmajanyam. This body has been made by actions. What type of action? Sat karma. Sat means existing actions. It is not that by accident this body has come. See, as far as the upadana karanam is concerned, material cause is concerned, all the bodies, whether it is animal, plants, human being, insects, birds, upadana karanam is same. Material is the same. But now this cause is something different. It is called the intelligent cause or efficient cause or nimitta karanam. Nimitta karanam means what made this body or who made this body. So what is the answer given? Sat karma janyam. Actions of the past. Sat means existing. The existing actions of the past has led to making this body. That is why each and every body is different. Why all of us have got different body? Because our actions of the past were different. Right? Sat karma janyam. It is born out of actions. The animal body is different from plant body is different from insect's body is different from bird's body is different from human body. Even among humans, each body is different. Correct? Such a wide variety we have in terms of color, in terms of gender, in terms of size, in terms of weight, in terms of shape. Correct? Each and every hair is also different. Each and every tooth is different. Nail is different. Just imagine the amount of information needed to create this body. That factor which has decided the form, everything of this body. What is that factor? Karma. Our actions. Remember, it is not actions of the present body, but it is the actions of the past body. Sat karma janyam, born out of sat karma. Now in the book, sat is translated as good. But in general, sat means existing. But sat can be taken as good also, because this text will not be studied by an unevolved person. This text, people who attend this class or study the text will definitely be highly evolved. Other people won't be showing any interest in spirituality. So the very fact that you are reading this book shows that you have done lots and lots of punya karma in the past, because of which you are interested in the spiritual matters. So therefore, sat as good is also equally valid. Because of the good karmas you have done in the past, you have got a human body. Not only that you got a human body, you have got an opportunity to study. You are showing interest in spirituality. This cannot be because of your papa karma. It has to be because of your punya karma. So therefore also, sat karma janyam. Sat means good. But in general, sat means existing. Vidyaman, existing karma of the past. So what is this? This is the nimitta karanam or efficient cause, intelligent cause. So how many factors we have seen? Number 1, condition. Number 2, material cause. Number 3, efficient cause. Now we will see the function of this body. What for this body has been made? What is the function? Sukha dukkhadi bhoga ayatanam shariram. It is an ayatanam. It is a place of residence. Ayatanam means abode. It's a house. So it is a house, an abode, where the jiva stays and goes through what? Bhoga. Bhoga means experience. What kinds of experience? Sukha, dukkha, adi. Sukha, dukkha, mishra, anubhavam is called Sukha, dukkha, bhogadi ayatanam. So it's an abode. It's a place of residence. So the jiva, the individual, is residing in this body and going through various kinds of experiences. And experiences can be divided into mainly three: sukha, dukkha, mishra. If you have done punya karma, sukha. If you have done papa karma, dukkha. If you have done mixed karma, mishra phala. It's an ayatanam. It's an ayatanam means it's an abode. Suppose you are transferred to some other place. What is the first thing you do? You are transferred. First thing is you will search for a house, isn't it? You will first search for a residence. Then all the other activities begin. Going to the bank, going to the market, going to the school or whatever. Everything begins after. What is the first thing? Search for a house. So in the same way, this jiva is given a body. Why is this body given? He himself has asked it. How did he ask it? Through his previous actions. In the past, he had decided something, he wanted something, and in order to fulfill the want, this body has been presented to him. That is the meaning Satkarma Janyam. He had a desire, he wanted to fulfill the desire. In order to fulfill the desire, a body has to be there. So therefore, this body has been given to him. Remember, it is Satkarma Janyam. Any action is limited. So therefore, the fruit of action also should be limited. Therefore, the body has to die someday or the other. Why? Because it is born out of a limited action. Limited action can give only limited results. So therefore, naturally, the body has to be limited in existence. Remember, it is kritam, it is made. Panchamaha bhutaihi kritam. Made means what? There was a time when it was not, and there will be a time when it will be not. Anything that is made will be limited with respect to time. Right. Sukha dukkhadi bhoga ayatanam. In Bhagavad Gita, this body is called as Navadware Pure Dehi. Remember, 5th chapter. Navadware Pure Dehi Naiva Kurvanna Karayan. So this body is called the body with 9 gates. What are the 9 gates? 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils. How much? 6. Then 1 mouth, 7. Then 1 genital organ, anus. How many gates? 9 gates. Now, this jiva is residing in this city and he is contacting the outer world through these 9 gates. Ayatana means abode. This is function. Now, what is the property of this body? These are the property. Asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. This is the nature of this body or the property of the body. Iti shad vikara, vikaravat etat. There are shad vikaras, 6 modifications. Any body, any physical body will have these 6 modifications. What are they? Asti, it exists. That's the first stage. First, it exists in the womb of the mother. Not yet born, but it is there. Existence is there, presence is there. Where? In the womb of the mother. Asti. Then what happens? Jayate, it is born. The fetus is born. The child is born. Jayate. Then what happens? Vardhate, the child starts growing. It keeps on growing. Then what happens? Viparinamate, it matures. The teenager becomes an adult, fully matured. Viparinamate. Up to 40 it goes, and after that, apakshiyate, starts decaying. And then what happens? Vinashyati, dies. Exists, born, grows, matures, decays, dies. 6 modification. Every body undergoes the same thing. Right? This is the property or the nature of the body. Right? Etat sthūla sharira. This is human body. See the definition. See the beauty of definition. What a wealth of knowledge has been given. Even our medical science, they don't know anything about this. How many factors over? Condition, it is sthūla. Then what? Material cause, it is made up of 5 elements. Efficient cause, it is made up of our own past actions. Then function, what is the function? It is a residence for the jiva. Function, ayatanam, it's an abode in order to go through the sukha and dukkha. So if you want to honor a person, whom do you honor? The body you honor by putting a garland of flowers. If you want to dishonor a person, what do you do? Again, the same body is the ayatanam. You put a garland of chappals. Body is the same. If you want to honor the body, that abode or that place of honoring is the body. This is called as ayatanam. If the police has to catch a thief, whom will he catch? He will catch the body. Everything the body undergoes. Right? Ayatanam, abode. So, what are they? First one, we have discussed condition, material cause, efficient cause, function. Fifth one, properties. Sixth one is constituents or parts, which is not described here. What are the parts of the body? This is not described here. It is a field of anatomy. Head, legs, trunk, heart, liver, kidney, etc. It is not mentioned because it is innumerable. That part is not described. Now, if you have described these 6, you have described the entire thing of the body, isn't it? Complete description of this physical body. What should be the next question? What is the promise? Sthūla, sūkshma, karana, sharirād vyatiriktam. Sthūla shariram is over. What is next? Sūkshma shariram. That we will take up tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.